So I'm willing to bet that at some point in time in our lives, all of us have dealt with either a spouse or a partner that has caused us some type of trauma. And unfortunately, some of us are still in those relationships or situations. I am praying for a resolution for you, or I'm praying for your exit. Now, if you're new here, my name is Mariama, and I made a video about a week ago talking about my experience with my ex-husband who was a narcissist. A lot of ladies commented on that video, and some ladies asked the question, what do you do when the narcissist is a family member or a parent? Now we're going to talk a little bit, and I'm going to start off by saying I did not grow up in a household with a parent that I would consider a narcissist. We're going to talk about what I did experience, and that was a parent that struggled with alcoholism. My father, may his soul rest in peace, he was an alcoholic all of the time that I knew him, up until the age of 53, which is the time that he passed away. Now, trauma from a parent is a different kind of trauma because we love the parent, but we hate their behavior. We hate the things that it brings into our lives. We hate the way that it makes us feel, but sometimes we just can't detach from them because they are a parent, or in some instances, a close family member. Now, when I was younger, I didn't have a choice but to deal with his alcoholism and everything that caused. And most of the time when we're young, we don't have resources, and we cannot just remove ourselves from situations. So unless the other parent or somebody else removes us, that's what it is, and we deal with it. And most of us, we do the best that we can do with the circumstances that we have. I'm going to also say this, and I'm going to come back to this later, but my dad was an alcoholic up until the day that he died. Now, like I said, when I was younger, I did not have choices. But when we're older, we do have choices. And the thing is this, the choices sometimes, they don't feel good. They are not easy, but they are necessary. And if we ever have to make the choice to either deal with the person as they are, when the person is causing us some type of harm, or removing ourselves from that situation, or limiting the time that we deal with that person, I am always going to suggest that you remove yourself, or you limit your time dealing with that person, even if it's a parent. Now, by the time I was 18 years old, my parents had already separated, and I believe that they divorced when I was 19. But I decided to move out of my mother's house at the age of 18 because I just wanted a fresh start. I wanted to start experiencing life on my own. I just needed time to process things away from what I already knew. And that might be something that you might want to think about doing as well. If you're dealing with a narcissistic parent, or a parent or a family member that's causing any type of harm to you, whether it be emotional, spiritual, mental, physical, think about removing yourself from that situation as best you can. Am I saying never talk to that person again? I'm not saying that, but I'm saying you know the extent of what they're causing you. If they're causing you so much emotional harm or physical harm that it's just not best to deal with them, and you have a choice now because you're not a child, that choice is not going to be easy, but it may be necessary. And when I got older, up until my father passed, yes, I still checked on him. I still called him. I still went to see him. But if I ever went and he was intoxicated, I didn't stay and deal with that. You know why? Because I dealt with it enough when I didn't have a choice. And you're going to hear me keep saying, when you have a choice, you have to start choosing what's best for you. Your mental health, when you become an adult, it becomes your responsibility because now you know better. And it won't feel good sometimes having to detach from a parent or a loved one, but it's going to feel even worse if you already know this is how this person is. Every time I'm around them, every time I talk to them, every time I deal with them, after that encounter or that conversation, I'm so drained. I feel awful. I'm just not in a good state of mind. When you have a choice, you don't have to choose that. And I heard somebody say before, but the Bible says, honor your mother and father so that your days may be longer. And here's the thing. Honoring them does not mean letting them destroy you, okay? You can honor them with respect. You can honor them by still trying to be there for them when you can, how you can, but the trade-off is not your own mental health and your own well-being, because now you are an adult and you're responsible for taking care of yourself. If you beat up and bruised up from dealing with somebody that may not change. And remember, I mentioned earlier, my father was an alcoholic up until the day that he passed. Do you think people didn't pray for him? People did pray for him. I used to be one of those people. But God is going to deal with people how he chooses to deal with them. And we don't know how and when that's going to be. So sometimes, can you stay and hope for better? You can. But better is not guaranteed the way you might want it to happen. Would I have loved for him to change his life around and be a different man? Absolutely. Did that happen? It didn't happen the way I would have hoped. Let's just say it that way. Did some things change in his life? Maybe. Did things change in a way that would have been better for me growing up with him? No. So staying around sometimes is not always the best choice. Even if it's a family member or a parent, you're going to have to learn to love people from afar. You can talk to them sometimes, you can visit them sometimes, but even if that becomes too much for you, then don't do that. Don't choose that for yourself, especially when you become a parent. And I'm not saying if you're not a parent, it's okay, but I'm saying when you are a parent, now you not only have yourself to take care of, you also have another person that's depending on you. And if you have a parent or a loved one where every time you see them or talk to them, you are just drained and your mental health is not good, what do you have left to pour into yourself or your children? So I'm saying all of this to say, if you have to separate yourself from some people, even if those people are parents or loved ones, you got to do what's best for you. You cannot let other people take the best of you. If somebody thinks that sounds selfish, if they have not walked in your shoes, do we really care? Okay? Because you know what you dealt with. You know what you might still be dealing with. Do you owe that to somebody to deal with their issues that they may or may never address? Do you owe that to them for the rest of their life and the rest of yours? I don't think so. I do not think so. Now, again, I always say, if this is your word, take it, receive it, and apply it. Only you know the boundaries that you are able to set and maintain. Like I said, for myself, when I was older, I had more resources, I had more information, and I had just had enough of some things. I didn't care who the person was. I remove myself or I limit my time because my time is valuable and I'm also valuable. My mental health is valuable. My well-being is valuable, and I'm not trading that off for anybody or anything. So, to answer those ladies who asked that question, what if it's a parent? You have to decide, do I want to keep feeling like this every time I deal with this person? If you at the age where you don't have to live in the house with them, don't. If you moved away, they live in their own house, you live in your own house, now it becomes a choice. Am I going to go choose to deal with this person's behavior and their ways when I already know what they bring in to the table? If you choose not to, because you're choosing your mental health and your peace, in my opinion, that is perfectly fine, because I already said To me, that relationship is not an equal trade, because sometimes people need their own therapy and their own help. And until they get it, they are going to be toxic for everyone involved with them. That can include parent-child relationships or family relationships as well. Choose what you want to deal with. Choose what you don't want to deal with. And then stand firm on your choices as you see fit. I hope this helps somebody. If this is your word, take it, receive it, apply it, and continue to be great.